Hello everybody, my name is Megan. Welcome back to my channel. This is the Reread Tag. Hi! So this tag was created by the lovely Lisa over at Lisa Does Life. She will be tagged down below as will the original video, and I fucking love rereading. Rereading is one of my favourite things to do. I own so many books because I don't want to get rid of them, because what if I want to reread them one day, you know? Rereading is the best. But I don't want to waffle on at you because I have a feeling I'm going to have a lot to say about some of the rereads. So I figured we'd just jump straight in. Now I have made the perhaps incorrect choice today to not grab all of the books and show them to you because I've already made a mess today and I don't want to make it worse. So editing Megan is going to hate me because I'm going to be doing this a lot and expecting her to put in all of the pictures here. But editing Megan, I'm giving you permission to go have a glass of gin. Okay? You got this. So the first kind of reread is a cozy reread. So I've taken this to mean like the book's vibes are cozy, rather, because I could be cozy reading anything, you know. I could reread like a slasher and be like cozy doing it because I've got like a big blanket and like a cup of tea, like, and I'm all good. But for cozy vibes, a book I've actually reread is The Undertaking of Heart and Mercy. I love this book so much. It is about Heart, who is a ranger, and Mercy, who is an undertaker, and they do not have the best relationship, and they slowly get one. It's a You've Got Mail meets sort of something slightly more supernatural book, and it's so good, and I've just explained it so badly, but it's one of my favourite books, and it's definitely one of the best books I read last year. And I'm so excited for the next book in the series because there's going to be one, and I'm sort of talking myself into a reread again. This is a very dangerous tag for me to do. That's one I've already reread. I'm going to do what Chloe did and do one that I also want to reread. So for that I'm also going to say Half a Soul by Olivia Atwater. This is a Regency romance that also has elements of the supernatural to it. So it's about a girl who had half of her soul taken by a fairy when she was a child, and so she grows up slightly different from everyone else, and her cousin during her season in London takes her with her so that she can meet the Lord Sorcerer, the fancy magic man in London, so that he can try and help her get her soul back. And it's so very, very, very good, and I loved it so much. And I've read the entire series, but I've not reread the first one, and I need to because of reasons. And then the next one is a fun reread. So one, like, I feel like romance is always like a fun thing to reread. So like one of the ones that I've reread the most is The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren. This is just such a ridiculous book. The maid of honour and the best man at a wedding are the only two people who don't eat the buffet and don't get sick of food poisoning, and so go on the honeymoon of the couple who got married because it's the brother and sister, and so they can like get away with it, like name wise and stuff. They like fudge some stuff a little bit, whatever, and they dislike each other, but do they by the end of the holiday? Like, I will leave it up to your interpretation, but it was so much fun, and I had a great time listening to the audiobook. So for a while it was just my go-to. I'm falling asleep, I'm going to put this audiobook on and just slowly re-listen to it over a couple of days, and that happened a few times, and it's really good, and I really liked it, and I highly recommend it. And then for one that I would really like to reread, it's Today, Tonight, Tomorrow by Rachel Lynn Solomon, which is one of her YA books about two people who are competing for like the class president, like the, you know, that thing that you get at the end of a school year in America, like the scholarly thing. Anyway, they're competing for some academic nonsense, and then they get teamed up for a scavenger hunt that's like the social side of the end of high school, and they have to go all around Seattle finding all of these things and working together, and it's so cute. And I really loved it, and it was so much fun, but I've not reread it. I keep recommending it to people and I've only read it once. I'm like, need to reread that one again. That is something that needs to happen for me as a person. And then next is a palette cleansing read. So obviously my answer for this is romance. I will read something on KU a lot of the time to palette cleanse. So there is one KU book, it is Hold Me Today. I can't remember the author's name, but it will be here, and it's like a fake dating best friend's brother like romance, and it's super fun and has this whole like dyslexia, like Greek diaspora vibe that I also really liked, and it's part of a series, and I just don't bother reading the rest of the series because I really don't care about the other characters. I just reread this one, which is ridiculous, but you know, I make my own choices. Another one that I really like to reread as well is Coming Up Roses by Stacey Hart, which is like a Pride and Prejudice flower shop retelling, and it's absolutely ridiculous, but it's so cute and so fun. It's like, it's a good time. But like Luke Bennett, like who is he supposed to be? It's not actually Pride and Prejudice, like it's ridiculous. There's no actual relation to the Jane Austen characters other than one of the characters' last names is Bennett, like, but it's so good. And there's this really cute scene where he like builds this swing. It's a good time. Oh, I need to reread that. I told you this would be a problem. And then for a palette cleanser that I want to reread, I really want to reread The Time I Got Drunk and Saved a Demon by Kimberly Lemming. This is like a fantasy romance, just like absolutely ridiculous book where someone is coming home from a festival drunk and it hits a demon on the head with a cinnamon stick, and he's like, well, you saved me now, like I was gonna kill you because I was under this like mind control, but you saved me from the mind control, so now you need to come help me do this thing. And they go on this adventure and it's just absurd, but I had so much fun, and I feel like that'll be a really fun one to reread if I'm ever like just not in the mood to read something like heavier. Like I feel like that will keep me going. But I only read that in February and we're only in May, so I don't need to reread it quite yet, but like I will want to reread it at some point. And then the next question is about a series that you like to reread. So one that I have reread quite a lot is the Starbound trilogy by Megan Spooner and Amy Kaufman, which is sort of enemies to lovers in space. Like all of them, they all have their issues and they're all in space. The first one, These Broken Stars, I love it. It's about Lilac and Tava, who are the only two survivors of a space shipwreck on an abandoned planet, and they have to get to a place where they can sort of call for help, and there's all this drama that happens in the meantime. And the audiobook is chef's kiss. I love it. The second one, The Shattered World. The second one is set on a different planet that has the same sort of evil corporation involved, about Jubilee and Flynn, who are, one of them is part of like the capitalist people who've come and taken over the planet, and one is the people who lived there and don't want to submit to the company that is running the planet. And then the third one is Sophia and Gideon, and I don't really want to tell you anything about them. You'll find out more about them if you read the others, because they're all sort of interconnected in the same way that the Illuminate files sort of follow separate people but has like the running follow through of like overall plot. And I really love it. It's so good. I love them so much. And they're not going to be 5 stars for like many people, but they really worked for me. And then a series that I really want to reread is the Sands of Arawi duology by Hafsa Faisal. I have reread We Hunt the Flame, which is about an assassin prince and a huntress who comes from a very misogynistic society. So like she goes into this forest that no one else can go in to kill things to bring back to feed her town, but everyone thinks she's a man, and she is asked to go on a quest to save magic, and the prince assassin is sent after her to make sure that she succeeds but doesn't make it back. And it's all very dramatic, very written so beautifully. I love the writing, but I've read that one twice because I reread it to read the sequel, and I haven't reread the sequel at all, which is We Free the Stars, and it was so good and I loved it so much. And I'm obsessed with the romance, and I'm obsessed with the found family, and I'm obsessed with so much about it, and yet I've not reread it, and I feel like this is a problem. But it's fine because I've since acquired the audiobook for the sequel, so it's going to be way easier for me to reread them. Okay, and finally, the last one, before I convince myself to scrap my entire TBR for next month and just reread things. Okay, second to last one is emotional reread. So a book that I have reread and is emotional is The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller, which is a retelling of the Odyssey by Homer, but from the perspective of Patroclus, who is the companion of Achilles. And it's so beautifully written, and it's so sad. And yeah, I read it for the first time when I was like 15, and I reread it a couple of years later hoping it would still stand up, and it did, and I've reread it once since, because it's been a decade since I was 15, jeez. But yeah, one of my favourite books of all time. I do feel like I'm due a reread soon. Very good. And a book that is emotional that I want to reread, one in question marks, is A Little Life. Like I want to reread it eventually. I don't know when it's ever going to happen because it is emotionally devastating. This is by Hanya Yanagihara. It follows the lives of 4 college roommates throughout their many trials in life, and it's a 5-star book, one of my favourite books, and it hurts me. So who knows if I will ever actually reread it. And finally, comfort rereads. Yay, let's bypass any more talk of A Little Life. Yeah, comfort reads. I've not picked one that I want to reread, because if it's a comfort reread then like it has to have already provided the comfort in the reread, and I don't know if a book that I've not yet reread would do so. But the 2 that I've chosen for this as books I've already reread that provide me massive amounts of comfort. We have Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor, which is one of my favourite books of all time. It's so beautifully written and I'm so obsessed with the characters. It's about Laszlo, who is a librarian who is obsessed with a lost city that no one can really remember anything about. They just know that it's lost. They don't know the name of it. They call it Wheat. He doesn't like to call it that because he's a precious being. And then one day a messenger from the city comes to the library, comes to the city that he's in, and is looking for people to go and help save the city from an unknown catastrophe. And Laszlo gets to go, and that's all you really need to know. And it's so good and I love it so much. And then the other one is You Deserve Each Other by Sarah Hogel, which is one of my favourite romances of all time. It is about Nicholas and Naomi, who are engaged at the beginning of the book, but they're not happy with each other, and so they each are trying to convince the other one to call off the wedding so that they're not on the hook for it, is the general premise to go in with. It's like second chance, like sort of, because they're not broken up but they're not like happy. I know, it's so good, it's so good. I reread this one super recently. I read it last month and I had the best time, and it's so difficult not to just immediately pick it up again, but I'm not going to, it's fine. I am strong. But yeah, just some other rereads to throw in, I guess. Things that I want to reread soon, or things that I enjoy rereading. The Scorpio Races by Maggie Stiefvater tends to be a yearly reread for me. I tend to reread it in November. If you've read it, you know. But it follows a family who live on an island that every year hosts the Scorpio Races, which are races that feature horses that come from the ocean and like kill people. Called like the, I can't remember how it's pronounced. Yeah, evil water seahorse monster things. Yeah. And there's a race, and the winner of the race gets a lot of money. Our main character Puck enters the race with a normal horse. It's all very dramatic, and it's really good. Alexi Harrow, both of her books, The Once and Future Witches and The 10,000 Doors of January, I reread both and I love both, and they're both excellent. I've reread The Whispering Dark by Kelly Andrew, which is like a dark academia, magic, sort of adversaries to lovers kind of story. It's excellent. Reread Gideon the Ninth and Harrow the Ninth, and I really enjoy those. I feel like they get better upon reread. Yeah, I'm planning on rereading the Illuminae files soon. I have read Illuminae a couple of times because that was also one of my audiobooks to go to sleep with for a while. That was a mistake because the little birdie bit, not great to sleep to. Not a vibe. Yeah. And I'm desperate to reread The Mysterious Society of Lady Scoundrels by India Holton, as well as The League of Gentlewomen Witches, because I just haven't got around to rereading those yet for some reason. Don't know why. Also, Alison Saft, Down Comes the Night was one of my favourite books of last year, and I want to reread it sort of in October again. Even though it's not actually spooky, the cover definitely gave spookier vibes, but it's still like vaguely atmospheric and spooky. So yeah, gonna probably read that one. But I hope this was vaguely interesting to people. I'm not gonna tag anyone because I feel like Lisa tagged a fair few people. So if you see this and you've not been tagged and you want to do it, feel free to take this as permission. If you don't want to do the video but just want to talk about things that you like to reread, please leave me a comment and like if you want to, and I'll see you with a new video soon, question mark.